There are very few filmmakers that could demand a 20% first dollar gross deal. There are very few filmmakers that give the audience a high expectation of quality of direction and storytelling in the movies they make. There are very few filmmakers that can deliver an original film that makes you think and entertain you at the same time. There are very few filmmakers that even in the middle of their film you may think to yourself, this shit makes sense, even though the premise is absolutely absurd. And lastly, there are very few filmmakers that after watching their film, you have just seen something so precise, well crafted and choreographed that the story that unfolded before your eyes was a vision of dedication. Christopher Nolan uses his craft to tell stories that might otherwise seem too out of this world, but he is still able to keep them grounded in reality. This is of course with the help of his brother Jonathan Nolan. I must acknowledge that many of the films directed by Christopher worked even better because of his brother, and while the list focuses on the films Christopher Nolan has directed, we will not be ignoring the talent and effort of Jonathan Nolan. So with that, welcome to my YouTube channel, The Movie Canon. I am your host, Giovanny, and today we will be ranking all released Christopher Nolan films, and not including TENET that hasn't been released yet. Alright, so today's Movie Canon Council consists of BRYAN.
Hey.
Jessica.
Hello.
And Ivan.
Yo.
So with that, let's get things started. Okay, so starting with the top 10 Christopher Nolan films, the number 10 spot is going to go to Following in 1998. This is the year the film was released. It was written and directed by Christopher Nolan. There was no contribution from Jonathan Nolan, his brother, so he was not one of the screenwriters. This is one of the few films that Christopher Nolan has directed does not have a collaboration with him and his brother Jonathan Nolan. And this is the number 10 film of Christopher Nolan films. So I found this particular film to be, well, to be honest, I don't really remember much of it. I saw it many years ago. I think it was like pre-Batman Begins, I think. So it's been a long time since I've seen this movie. I just remember it to be kind of boring, and everything was black and white. If I've just only seen this movie, or if this was the first movie that I've seen of Christopher Nolan's, I probably wouldn't have become a fan just on that movie. So, and I guess it kind of reflects because with the everyone else's vote here as far as ranking on movies, averaging them all out, it still came to be at the number 10 spot. And this was the only movie of the Christopher Nolan films that we all decided that it was should be in the last spot, and therefore the weakest Christopher Nolan movie. So that's the number 10 spot. So those are my thoughts for Following. Anyone else have any input on this movie?
I liked it. I just recently saw it. I like the black and white, and being more familiar with Christopher Nolan, how he does a story, it's very non-linear. So seeing that in one of his first movies, I appreciated it more. But if I had seen it like way before I seen any other Nolan movies, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much.
It wasn't like that notable, but the acting was really good. I just think it made like a really good book as opposed to movie, and it was super short. Wasn't it like really short?
Yeah. I think it was under 90 minutes, I think.
Yeah, it felt like a college.
Yeah, I think it was like maybe 75 minutes, 80 minutes around there.
But it was like, it was unique and everything. It just wasn't like as unique as his other movies.
Yeah, I think we could all agree that when it comes to Christopher Nolan movies, we could expect top acting.
Yeah.
So at least I can't think of any really bad performance in any Christopher Nolan movie. And obviously that's a lot to do with the direction. So, Ivan?
I like the movie. Favorite thing about that movie and memorable part about it is Cobb, the professional thief. He was my favorite part of the movie.
Alright, so moving on to the next one here. The number 9 spot goes to Insomnia. This is the film that came out in 2002. It stars Al Pacino, Hilary Swank, and Robin Williams. I believe this is the only Christopher Nolan film that he did not write. So he directed Insomnia, but we have another screenwriter, and this movie is actually based on a book. So this is not an original story from Christopher or Jonathan Nolan's mind. But I mean, overall, it was a solid movie. I don't think it was that great. I think on my list, it was kind of towards the bottom. It wasn't this low though. I think it was probably like my number 7 spot or something like that. And I definitely got some top-notch actors for this movie. We got Al Pacino and Hilary Swank, Robin Williams. They're like on the top of their game at that time. All of them Oscar winners and all this other stuff. We get a setting in Alaska, which was pretty cool, and the whole setting there at daytime, even though it's supposed to be nighttime, but because of the situation with Alaska, sometimes of the year there's no darkness. So I think that was the first time that I noticed that there was something like that, and it came from this movie. But overall, it was a solid movie. Obviously not my top 3 or anything like that, but between all of us, she came down at number 9. So, Brian?
I had this one, number 8. I really like it. It's a really good detective movie. Al Pacino is great. Robin Williams is amazing. I really enjoyed this movie. I don't think I have anything else to say besides that.
I have this movie actually at number 7. I really like this movie too. It was so pretty, like one of his like most visually appealing movies ever. I think it was just gorgeous.
And it's just beautiful because of the state.
Yes.
It's just Alaska looks really nice, very beautiful, and he just used all that beauty in the background there.
I know. It was a character of its own.
I really liked Insomnia. My favorite part of the movie, I think, was Hilary Swank's character. I'm not a big fan of her, but I really like her in this movie. And Robin Williams' performance was really great. And the fog scene was really nice. And I think it was pretty good, great suspenseful movie. Even though it wasn't like that much action in it.
Yeah, there really wasn't, huh?
No, there wasn't. And my 2 favorite parts were the scene where he's just talking to him on the boat and when he's talking to him on the phone. It was really good.
All right, so the number 8 spot, we have Dunkirk 2017. On my list, this movie was actually kind of low. I was a little disappointed with this film. And Dunkirk was written and directed by Christopher Nolan. There's no contribution from Jonathan Nolan. And it's set during World War II. It's more of the British angle, not the American side here. I think the part that I didn't really like when it comes to Dunkirk is that I feel like there wasn't much character development in Dunkirk. And I understand that they just shot the movie. They just did it like just an experience, like just an event. He wasn't really trying to like have people have a backstory in, wartime or something like that. But I think they could have been done better. And Saving Private Ryan was able to do it. We could get some people interacting with each other during a war setting, and we got a little bit of both. And I think that's why that movie worked very well. And Dunkirk, I mean, it was well directed and everything. It was looked nice, looked great. The sound, everything was good. We get Tom Hardy wearing a mask again, and that's really it. It was kind of towards the bottom of my list. I wasn't completely blown away, no pun intended, with Dunkirk. Brian?
I had this one 9th on my list. I agree with you about the character developments. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good movie, like visually. I thought it was a good story to tell from World War II. And I thought the score was really good. And my favorite parts were the Royal Air Force with Tom Hardy. But that's it.
I had this as number 5 actually. So I like how he told the story from like different perspectives, like ground, air, and sea. And how we had to follow people's stories, and yet and how they all kind of affected each other. And it wasn't all like in a linear sequence, like how he normally does.
Yeah, very Nolan-esque.
And his use of IMAX in this movie was so great.
Oh yeah, we did see that one in IMAX. I
had this movie in number 4. When I first saw it, I was a little disappointed with the 3 different timelines. I was just like trying to piece it together. And then when I saw it the second time, I really loved it. And he made the whole movie very intense. The whole time everyone is just either trying to help or trying to survive. So I didn't mind though that there was no character development. It was just action. It was just people either trying to survive or again like trying to help. And he was just trying to capture that whole feeling. Like nobody really cared about anything else except just trying to get off the beach. And as for character development, what about the character who had the shell shock? I really like that when you first see him, you see him
Shell shocked.
you see him shell shocked. He just wants to leave, and then when you see him later in like the flashback, he's really calm. He's like, we have to go back to Dunkirk. You guys are fine. All that stuff. I really like that. It was really cool that they showed him first like really traumatized. Yeah, just gives you like the sense of like there was so much going on that it was impossible for him to film everything or to get it all in perspective. So we just had to get how people experienced it, little pieces and not getting the full story. But everyone had like the same goal, which was getting off the beach.
All right, so the number 7 spot is going to go to Memento. This film was written and directed by Christopher Nolan, and Jonathan Nolan had collaboration or had some input with this film, and this one came out in the year 2001. This is actually the movie that made me a Christopher Nolan fan. I think this is the second Christopher Nolan film, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And so the story with this movie is that I didn't see it in theaters. I went to a rental place, like we used to go to an actual rental place and rent movies and stuff like that. And I picked it up and I went to the counter, and the guy that was gonna rent the movie for me, the cashier or whatever, he's like, "Oh, you're gonna rent this movie, Memento?" I was like, "Yeah." So make sure you pay attention to this movie because this is not like your typical film or some shit like that. I was like, "Oh, okay, all right." And then as soon as you start watching the movie, then I understood why he asked that or why he said that. And it definitely takes some time to like see everything, and then you need to like figure out like, okay, this happened before, even though you had already seen what happened after. So it takes a little time to like get used to how it's going, but I like that it was done that way, and that was the first time that I saw a movie that was shot that way. And it kind of makes sense because of the character who's played by Guy Pearce. It kind of makes sense with his situation, his condition or whatever, that it was shot that way. So I thought that was very unique and different, and it was really cool. And then I recently saw it again, and I will say that this most recent revisit wasn't as amazing as I remember it, but I think it was just more like the first experience with it many years ago. That was something that I hadn't seen before, that ultimately led to made me a fan of Christopher Nolan. So that's why it was pretty high on my list. It was my number 2 Christopher Nolan movie. Okay, so Brian?
I had this one at number 4. I really like this movie. Like all the characters, I like how it's in reverse order, and then there's also the black and white that's going, from beginning to end. So, and then they meet in the middle. Jonathan Nolan, this was like a short story that he wrote, right?
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I really like this movie. So yeah.
I ranked this movie number 8 on my list.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. I didn't hate it or anything. I liked the way that it, like, throughout the movie, it feeds you little bits and pieces to, like, let you figure out what's going on. But it was kind of confusing, I guess. Because I was like, wait, that happened. Wait,
To the
it
week.
didn't happen yet. Like, and this was kind of hard for me to keep up, I guess. But, yeah, it was okay. It's good.
So this is one of those movies where people say it's not as enjoyable the second time, whereas for me, I enjoyed it more the second time because I was following all the little details and trying to remember what happened before, and then everything made more sense. Even though I did get it the first time, it was
Thanks.
more satisfying the second time I was watching it, and which I did last week. The story was really good. I did like the twist, and so it was like the whole time I'm just trying to figure out like how he got to where he was, and then so the twist on top of that, it was like two mysteries being solved. It was really cool.
Do you remember where Memento stood on your list?
I had it 8, but that doesn't mean I didn't like it. I like all these movies.
Okay, all right.
2 actors from The Matrix.
Hell yeah. Cypher and Trinity.
Carrie Ann Moss and Teddy.
Okay, so the number 6 spot goes to The Prestige, starring Wolverine and Batman, or also known as Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale. So this is the movie that came out in between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. Christopher Nolan likes to make a movie for the studio and then likes to make a movie for himself. The Prestige is a movie that he made for himself. Now that he had that caliber and could demand things, that's what he started to do after Batman Begins. And I only seen this movie once. I meant to rewatch it before I started doing this. And I remember it was a solid film. I wasn't a huge fan of the twists at the end, but it was an overall solid movie. Has great acting, like I said. Christian Bale's in it, Hugh Jackman's in it, Scarlett Johansson's in it, Michael Caine is in it again, and that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying he's in it again. And there's a lot of cool scenes there, like the setting, the era. I think that was the first time that we see a Nolan movie like set back in like late 1800s or whatever. So overall, it's a solid movie for me, and I think in my list it was number 6. So, no, it was number 8. And The Prestige was written by both Jonathan Nolan and Christopher Nolan. So this is one of the movies that both brothers worked on the script. So that's The Prestige. Brian?
I really liked The Prestige. I had it in number 6. Hugh Jackman was really good. Everyone was really good, and I liked how like all his movies are now linear, but they start making sense. As you go with it, you start paying attention more. And I don't know. I really like it, and I was watching it with my brother, and I'll show it to him, and he didn't really get why it would be like non-linear, like the story. But as the movie kept going, he got it. Like he understands that the way he's telling the story is to give you that greater impact when things are revealed, and he really did a good job in Prestige doing that.
Is this your 11-year-old brother or your 20-year-old brother?
20.
Oh.
I love this movie. I ranked it number 4 on my list. I thought it was super entertaining. I love the way that it's shot. Obviously, masterfully acted, and yeah, it never lost my interest for a second. I like how obsessed they were with just wanting to
Be
the best and and kind of ruin the other one, but yet had a respect for the other one. It had really good character development.
This movie, I had it at number 7. This movie, when I think about it, a lot of times I think it's a really great movie, and sometimes I think it's a good movie. I go back and forth. Usually right after I watch it, I think it's a great movie, and then later on, it's a good movie. The part that it's the thing that kind of throws me off is the Tesla, the cloning thing. But I get it why it's in it, just for the plot. But that's probably the only thing that kind of just makes me feel iffy about it. But the twist, I actually did enjoy the twist. What part didn't you like? The twin brother or the cloning?
The cloning.
The cloning, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. But when I watch
real magic.
But when I watch it, if I don't think about that part, but I think about what he had to go through, about killing himself, you know what I mean?
You don't know if he was gonna die or not.
Yeah, that part's really interesting. But then I think about the cloning, you know what I mean? There's the whole movie's about illusion, and then there's scientific magic.
but that's kind of what I thought. I was like, oh, it's gonna be some cool payoff that it's not gonna be cloning, something that would be like, oh, something that we missed, right? Something that we're watching, and it's gonna come up with some conclusion, but that's not that. So if you know what I mean.
Yeah, like the idea that he was never cloned.
Or something, just not that. Right, so the number 5 spot goes to The Dark Knight Rises, 2012. This film was written and directed by Christopher Nolan, and it was also co-written by Jonathan Nolan. Okay, so this is the sequel of The Dark Knight. This is the last Batman film, or the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight series film. And when I first saw it, I thought it was pretty good. There's some things that I didn't like, but overall it was good. It was not as good as The Dark Knight or Batman Begins. It was definitely not that. But I enjoyed Bane. I enjoyed Tom Hardy as Bane. I felt that Michael Caine finally got some really good moments there. I mean, he had a few in the other 2 movies, but there's one particular scene that I think of in The Dark Knight Rises where he is giving that speech, you know, to Bruce Wayne, if he's going to continue doing what he's been doing, that he can't like sit around or stand around and watch him do it, type of thing. There was some good acting right there. And I didn't really like the whole Marianne Cotillard, that she's the daughter of what's her face?
Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah. Like, I didn't think it was going to be like some big ass twist, really, but I would have preferred if it was just Bane pulling the strings. Like, he was known as this mastermind, this incredibly intelligent villain in the comics and stuff like that, so I thought they would just stick to that. But I guess they wanted her to be part of Batman Begins somehow or something, I don't know. But, and then we don't even see Batman until like 45 minutes into the movie. But when he does appear, though, it was pretty cool when he finally appears, and it kind of like is a good payoff, kind of, because you haven't seen him in like almost an hour, and then he suddenly pops up, and we get this good action sequence with the that was with the stock market thing, right? Or the whatever. So that was cool and everything, and I like seeing Bane breaking Batman's back, like it is in the comics. I didn't care for him trying to get out of that cave thing. It was whatever to me. But overall, it was a solid movie. I didn't really love the ending, and it was on my I'm trying to see where it was on my list here. It was number 5, so the same that what we have. So I mean, it's still Batman, so you got Bane. Brian?
I had it at number 7. I really liked this movie, but obviously not as much as I thought I was gonna like it. I was really hyped going into it. There's a lot of really good Batman scenes, but Bane stole the movie. I didn't really care for Catwoman too much.
Oh, you mentioned her.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of hers, and I agree with you about the ending. But yeah, there's a lot of really good scenes in that movie.
I ranked it at number 6, I think. Yeah, I think it was number 6 I ranked it. It was good. It was a good Batman movie. I liked Catwoman. I was in Wonder Woman. Loved Wonder Woman in this movie. Bane was awesome. It's like one of my favorite little villains. And yeah.
I had it at number 6. So I haven't seen this movie since it came out because I hated it when I first saw it.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So upset with the plot. I hated the use of the bomb, and there was a lot of things in the movie that didn't make sense. But a lot of it I really don't care. Like, a lot of people complain about like certain plot holes. The only one that upset me was when he flew out into the bay with the bomb.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was an autopilot. But that's the only thing that I didn't care for. The plane, the hijacking scene was amazing.
Yeah.
Just about every IMAX scene was incredible. Bane could have, I guess, like, I don't know, like, If you're right. If Talia al Ghul wasn't in it, and if he wouldn't have just been like so, like killed off so anticlimactic, with just
Yeah, that's
just
right.
shooting him with the bat file, that was really lame. But the thing that like ruined the movie as soon as like halfway through was when they set the bomb when they set the timer on the bomb, and right away you knew, like, as soon as that bomb is taken care of, the movie is over. Like, it doesn't matter what Bane's planning, it doesn't matter what other things are going on. It's like that's the biggest plot.
It was laziness.
It was
typical.
It's typical freaking what's it called?
Like cliche.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah.
But it's like how the old shows used to be, you know, like, we gotta stop this bomb.
We're past that though. Not with Christopher Nolan.
Yeah,
we haven't been doing that.
Like,
Maybe it was a nod. I don't know.
Like especially when you think of like the climax for The Dark Knight. There's so many things in the third act going on.
We'll get to that.
No, I know. I'm saying there's so many things in the third act going on that, I mean, it's this one. It's just stop the bomb. That's pretty much it. That's it. So freaking lame. But when I watched it recently last week, I loved it. Like, I was just having so much fun because I had already been disappointed. I knew what to expect. So I was just enjoying everything that was well done in this movie, and I loved it. And I remember thinking, like, this movie, like, I was just thinking, like, I hated this movie, and this movie's amazing. That's just like the caliber, or that's just what I expect from Christopher Nolan. I expect so much from him because he's that great of a filmmaker, that this movie, which is like one of the best action movies, it was still disappointing for a Christopher Nolan movie.
I still like seeing it, like, once in a while.
Yeah, it's a fun
Like, I've seen it a
time.
few times since it came out in theaters. Because there's some of these Christopher Nolan movies that I only seen once. Like Dunkirk's one of them. The Prestige is one of them. But The Dark Knight Rises, I did see a few times, and I always feel like watching it again. Like how we just watched The Dark Knight not too long ago. I was like, oh, I feel like watching The Dark Knight Rises again. So that's the number 5th spot. Alright, so the number 4th spot is gonna go to another Batman film, Batman Begins.
I thought you were gonna say Christopher Nolan film.
Directed by, of course, Christopher Nolan. And this film was also co-written by David S. Goyer. This movie, I was very excited to come out when it was announced that they were going to make another Batman movie, because Warner Brothers was depressed after Batman and Robin, and they didn't want to do anything to do with Batman anymore. And then I heard that they're making another Batman movie. And then when I heard that Christopher Nolan was directing the next Batman movie, I was even more excited, because at that point I had already seen Memento and Insomnia, and I think that's it, actually. And so I really liked this origin Batman. I think the original Batman doesn't have like an origin story like Batman Begins does, and that's the first time that we see Christopher Nolan directing this Batman film, where we use the comic book elements that we all know and like, but still grounded in reality, which I thought worked very, very well. And even the villains, even Scarecrow, that they used a known character, a known villain in the Batman comics, but they still made it so that it works in his grounded in reality type of story, I guess. And it worked very well, and I really liked it. Brian?
Yeah, it's very grounded. I had this one number 3. I really like this one a lot. The music, the Tumblr, him training with Ra's al Ghul in the League of Shadow. His use of miniatures in that ghetto city, Daenerys. Like, it was all shot with miniatures, kind of like Peter Jackson. I really like that. Yeah.
And this one was number 3 on my list, Batman Begins. Just
This one was actually number 9 on my list.
damn.
I did not like this movie very much. I just thought it was kind of boring. I just didn't really care. I was like,
Do you not love Batman?
no, I do. I like Batman a lot. I don't know. I just didn't care for Ra's al Ghul at all. I'm like, eh.
He's a whatever villain.
Yeah, it just felt kind of like, I don't really
But that movie was about Batman. Like The Dark Knight is a Batman movie, but that movie is about the Joker. Batman Begins is a movie about Batman. So I didn't really care too much about the villains.
Yeah.
There was a lot in it. There was Scarecrow, Ra's al Ghul, the mobster, which I forgot that.
Oh,
actor's
Tom
name.
Wilkinson.
Yeah, he's really
Falcone.
good.
Yeah, I forgot Tom Wilkinson was in that.
Yeah. So yeah, it definitely was not supposed to be about the villain. Let me see. What do we have this?
Don't bother yourself with the troubles of scary people.
I had this. What is this? Number 4?
This is number... Yeah, I think so, number 4.
Okay, I had this number 5. So yeah, everything you guys said, I agree with, and the action was so good. Like the chase scene, I was very surprised. Like with how it was choreographed, the fighting, especially like again when he's fighting the League of Shadow, like those ninjas or whatever. It was,
See what I mean?
what?
Just kidding.
Okay.
Well, yeah, the League of Shadow Agents. God damn, you made me forget what I was gonna say.
Did you not like Ken Watanabe, Jessica?
Who's that?
Never mind.
Oh, who's that?
He
The
was
first guy that they made you think was Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah. The Asian guy.
Oh.
The Japanese guy.
Oh. No.
He's in Inception. You
I
know?
know that.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
And then Last Summer. And Godzilla.
So probably the weakest thing is Katie Holmes, right?
I didn't mind her.
It's an understatement.
Rachel Balls.
Yeah, but
I like Maggie Gyllenhaal better, but yeah, I didn't mind her.
She was odd.
yeah, it was like it was really weird. I felt like I was watching a
teen
TV.
movie.
I felt like I was watching a TV show when she was on.
Dawson's Creek.
Yeah.
Well, that's right, it doesn't speak. But like, I feel like I was watching like Arrow or
Wasn't she in that show? She was, wasn't she?
Flash or some shit.
Yeah. That's not very
But when you
interesting.
compare her to the other actors, Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman, Christian Bale.
Tom Wilkinson,
Yeah.
fucking Liam Neeson, Ken Watanabe, Katie Holmes.
Yeah.
All right, so the number 3 spot is going to go to Interstellar. Came out in 2014. It stars Matthew McConaughey, Jessica Chastain. Yeah, Jessica Chastain.
Yes.
Timothy Chalamet. And what is that girl's? What is the actor's name?
KCF? Wait, sorry, what did you say?
That's the actress.
Oh.
And you're like Casey Affleck?
Sorry, the little girl?
No, what's her face? Catwoman.
Oh, Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway. There you go. So she's in this, and I remember this movie. I didn't really love it when I first saw Interstellar. After watching it the second time, the third time, fourth time and so on, I appreciated it more and more and more and more. That has actually gone up in my rankings of Christopher Nolan films. Okay, so Interstellar was written by both brothers, Jonathan Nolan and Christopher Nolan. It was very, very interesting movie because of, the whole situation with Matthew McConaughey having to go to space and for the reasons that he's trying to go to space. And all these theories that we hear about space and all this other crap. I like how he kind of explored it in this movie and added it in his storytelling for this particular story here. So I thought it was very interesting, and obviously we got these top-notch actors. Oh, Michael Caine is in the movie too, so that's another Michael Caine film with Christopher Nolan. It was just a very, very cool movie, and the score is really good, like most of the time, and it was great. And then I saw this in IMAX. So, Brian?
I had this one at number 2. I really love this movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And yeah, it's also one that every time I watch it, I do like it a little more each time. Matthew McConaughey was amazing in this movie. The music is great. I like listening to just the soundtrack. Hans Zimmer's Interstellar, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a really, really, really good movie. Yeah. I like the space stuff. I'm a big fan of.
Jessica, your thoughts on Interstellar?
I rated this number 3, and I really love this movie. Like Brian said, I love the musical score. Like I could just listen to that by itself. Super epic.
Mm-hmm.
It was like such a great visual movie. I love the acting, obviously. The story is super solid, and I could definitely watch it like over and over and over and never get tired of it.
And
It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I love practical effects, and then when they're set in space, they're amazing, so realistic. Tars is also one of my favorite like robots. He's also, this movie has one of my favorite set pieces when their ship is spinning and he has to dock it. Sometimes I just look that video up on YouTube once in a while. I've probably seen that scene more than a dozen times.
all right, so the number 2 spot is Inception 2010, written and directed by Christopher Nolan and Jonathan Nolan, of course. And actually, it was only written by Christopher Nolan and directed by Christopher Nolan. Anyway, so that's one of the few movies that there's no Jonathan Nolan collaboration. And this film stars DiCaprio, Leonardo DiCaprio, JGL, and Michael Caine is in that movie too, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he's in that movie
Yeah.
too.
Professor.
And Ellen Page and so on.
Tom Hardy.
So and Tom Hardy, yeah, the like only movie that we don't see him cover his face.
The Japanese guy.
Ken Watanabe.
Disguise his face.
Ken Watanabe. It's Ken Watanabe. Anyway, so this is a great film. It's very Matrixy, and it's again a ridiculous premise, but Christopher Nolan finds a way to kind of put it down to the level of reality, kind of. So it's done very well. And then we have Cillian Murphy, who's in this too, and then Marianne Cotillard is in that movie as well. So it looks like Christopher Nolan likes to work with, the same actors. They have a relationship, which is always good for a director, because he needs to be able to direct actors, and the actors should be able to want to work with the director. So the fact that he keeps using these people tells you a lot about his direction style, that the actors like working with him. Not like James Cameron, that sometimes people hate working with him because he's like a Nazi or some shit. But this movie itself is, like I said, it's sci-fi, it's action, it's drama, it's great acting, it's special effects, it's down to reality, but there's a sci-fi element in there. So it's overall a cool and solid movie. It was on my number 4 spot. So Inception was on number 4 spot, and here with all together it's the number 2 spot. So Brian, your thoughts on Inception?
I had Inception number 5. Really great movie. What?
5?
Okay,
Well, mine's the number 4,
elaborate.
so it's not that much.
Okay. All right, so I have this one number 5. It's a really great movie. I really like the music in it. This movie had some of the best action I've seen, and the Maud character, the wife, the dead wife, was a really good element in this movie. I love it.
Jessica?
I rank this number 1.
Oh yeah, you did.
I really love this movie. It checks all my boxes that I look for in a movie. I can watch it over and over. When I find someone that like hasn't seen it, or they ask what's a good movie to watch, I always recommend this movie. It's just so good.
It's besides actually, this is one of those movies where it seemed like it was gonna be like a different type of movie. Like I was picturing something different, and I was very surprised with what we got. It was the multiple dream levels wasn't as complicated as I thought it was going to be. Like I thought it was going to be more complicated. So when I watched it the first time and I understood it, I was really happy. The action was great. The acting was great. Hans Zimmer's score was really good. I think it's probably his best one. Maybe tied with Interstellar. But yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, so Inception is, although it probably won't happen in California, it's going to be re-released at the end of August to theaters. It'll probably be everywhere else except here. So if you want to go to state to see this movie in theaters again, you can. So that's Inception. That's the number 2 movie here. So we're going to go down to the number 1 spot. All right, so the number 1 spot, I'm sure everyone has guessed by now, is, of course, Batman and Robin. Or The Dark Knight. So The Dark Knight obviously was going to make it to the number 1 spot, although I thought everyone was going to pick The Dark Knight to be the number 1 spot. But someone voted for some other movie. That's why I ended up at number 2. But anyways, The Dark Knight, number 1 movie, no surprise there. It has one of the greatest action sequences, best directed film of Christopher Nolan film, and probably just overall, and great acting, one of the best performances probably ever, at least I think so, with Heath Ledger as the Joker. And it's overall, again, a story that may not seem too out of the ordinary or too out of this world, but it is a comic book movie, but it still came down to a level of reality, even though it's a movie about Batman and a killer clown and all this other shit. So it's a great film. The score is always great. Hans Zimmer again. And then, of course, we have the opening sequence that automatically grabs you with those IMAX cameras. Especially if you saw this movie in IMAX for the first time, it's just awesome. Especially for the first time that I saw it, that was really, really great. And I was very, very excited for this movie. Like, I was waiting for it for a long time. They released a teaser trailer like a year before, and I was dying to see the fucking teaser trailer, even though it's like a year away. It didn't have any footage. It just had some dialogue and some letters, The Dark Knight, and then the release date, which was a year away. And then I saw the trailer, the very first trailer, which was like in December of 2007, with I Am Legend. So they released a trailer before I Am Legend, and I was blown away with just Heath Ledger's performance. Just on the trailer alone, I was like, that's Oscar worthy just on the trailer. And I was just dying to see this movie. And the interesting part of this is that it was kind of an odd choice for Christopher Nolan to pick Heath Ledger to be the Joker. Everyone was expecting someone that's more like typical. I don't remember who was in the running, but everyone expecting someone else that was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So and so would play the Joker. I think maybe Robin Williams was in the running. I think because Robin Williams wanted the role of Joker, the Tim Burton version, but they gave it to Jack Nicholson after he agreed to get all this money for it. But so that was an odd choice, but at the same time, he's done some good stuff. At that point, he had done Brokeback Mountain and some of the movies. He was already an Oscar nominee, so I was like very curious to see how he was going to portray the Joker. And then I trusted Christopher Nolan to make he made a good choice in selecting Heath Ledger, even though I had no idea what he was looking at, like what he was thinking to casting him. But I still kind of trusted the idea that, okay, so he has some form of idea in his mind that Heath Ledger fits the Joker that he wants to do in this movie. And it turned out to be one of the greatest performances. First time that someone wins an Oscar for playing a comic book character. And it's just an overall great solid movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's not my favorite movie of all time, but it's one of my favorite movies of all time. And it's a movie that I've seen multiple times, and that's why it was at number 1 spot. Brian?
I had it at number 1 also. This is probably like my second favorite movie of all time. If you haven't seen it, I mean, I don't know. But I'm sure everyone's seen it. It's amazing. Can't say too much about it. The Joker is probably the best villain portrayal in any movie. Yeah, great action. Maggie Gyllenhaal was obviously the better Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
Harvey Two-Face was really good. Yeah.
I ranked it number 8. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. It was my number 2 choice.
Wouldn't even be surprised at this point.
Hey. Yeah, I thought it was super good, super entertaining the entire time. I can't say enough about Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker. It was just masterfully done. And had like a lot of amazing, memorable shots in it. and I'm really glad I got to see it. Did I see it? Did I already see it? Just kidding.
I don't know. I didn't.
Wow.
I'm like, did I? I think I did. Yay! It's a really good movie.
Yeah. So
If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
and then The Dark Knight kind of set up this this idea in Hollywood that a comic book film could not only make money, because actually the first X-Men did that. The X-Men film did, okay, so a comic book movie could make a lot of money. But The Dark Knight did both. It could make a lot of money, but could also be taken very seriously. So much that a lot of people thought that it was going to be nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. It did not. But I really do believe that it's only because there was only 5 spots then for Best Picture, because it got like 8 Oscar nominations except Best Picture, and that's very rare that they don't nominate a Best Picture or a movie for Best Picture when it gets all these other Oscar nominations. And the year after that, they added 9 or 10 Best Picture nominees that are possible, and that's totally because of The Dark Knight, because they don't want to mess that up again if we have a situation like The Dark Knight where they just didn't have enough spots. I mean, they could have squeezed it in there, but either way, there's more chances now that a comic book movie or a sci-fi movie or whatever could still get in there in the Best Picture for the Oscars. Evan?
I have this movie ranked number 1. It is my favorite movie of all time. I saw this movie in theaters 5 times.
God damn.
I could not wait to watch it on Blu-ray. It was Blu-ray at the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean when it first came out?
I
Oh,
couldn't
yeah,
wait
yeah.
for it to come out on Blu-ray to see it again, so I
I thought you meant now. I was like,
no. I remember having like the itch to watch it again, watching like the Hong Kong scene again, the truck flipping scene. The story was really great. The acting was great, and yes, it is one of my favorite. It is my favorite movie of all time.
the opening sequence?
Yeah, amazing.
Katie. Oh no, she's not in this.
And also, is this the first movie that like I don't, but did I make IMAX really popular? Or what else was there before The Dark Knight that was like people were talking about IMAX? I don't remember hearing about IMAX that much until this movie.
No, I don't think it made it more popular. It's just I'm gonna say I'm not entirely sure about this because this is just what I think. I think this is the first time that they use IMAX cameras for a movie, for like an actual movie, not like, you know how when IMAX first came out, I don't know if you remember, when IMAX first came out, they made like these little yeah, like little, or like even not even documentaries, but I mean they did that too, but they did like these little short films that were like 45 minutes long, and that they were for IMAX or like 3D IMAX, but yeah, no, because I remember I saw Superman Returns in IMAX. I saw Spider-Man 3 in IMAX, and that was before The Dark Knight, and even those were pretty crowded. Like every ticket was sold, but I think it was mainly because of the IMAX cameras that really, and then it was a Christopher Nolan movie, and it's a Batman movie.
What film was on the marathon? Did we see that in the theater?
Yes.
Yeah, see, I did see it in theaters. Yeah.
So that's the only time you saw it in theaters?
Yeah.
That's like 5 years later.
Which one?
Wait,
Dark Knight.
Dark Knight.
Dark Knight.
Oh, okay.
She saw Dark Knight when we saw the Dark Knight Rises premiere.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And like I saw Goblet of Fire in IMAX. That was cool. So I think it's.
But those weren't filmed with IMAX cameras.
No. That's what I'm saying. I think Christopher Nolan is the first one to use them. I think.
Yeah, I remember.
I could be wrong about that, but I just don't remember any other film being or that used IMAX cameras for an actual regular film, not a documentary or whatever the fuck. So yeah, that's our list. Top 10 Christopher Nolan movies, and this was of course in anticipation of the new Christopher Nolan movie Tenet, which is to come out who the fuck knows when, but it's been postponed like 3 times already. As of today, it's supposed to come out on Labor Day weekend, Not here where we live in California, but it's coming out everywhere else internationally and some cities in the United States, which I'm sure is not going to be anywhere in California. So who knows when we're going to see Tenet, but that's pretty much it for this list. So thank you so very much, Ivan, Brian, and Jessica for contributing to this Christopher Nolan top films ranking video. And thank you very much for watching, or if you listen to this video, thanks so much. And I'll see you guys next time.